Evening, everybody. Good to see everyone again. Well, maybe as the live chat starts to fill out, possibly, maybe. Right now, I think it's just Michael Deaton and my brother Jay. Good to see you both. Um, yes, I will be interviewing Aaron Ra. It's scheduled for actually, it's not tomorrow night. It should be Thursday night. At least I hope I've got that scheduled correctly. Should be Thursday night at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. JL is on right now too. Oh, yeah. I didn't see that he went live because I'm not getting notifications like I'm supposed to. Oh well. Don't have really a long one to cover tonight. I've been kind of putting stuff together for an interview, to do that interview of Aaron Ra, which probably won't be very long. I don't want to take up too much of his time. He was nice enough to show up on the show. So, but this one was pretty interesting. Very short and sweet. I don't know what the context is for this. As far as I can tell, this I'm sure this occurred on one of Darth Dawkins' Discord snake pits. But he's having a conversation with a user named Thomas, and doesn't go well. So we're going to get right into that. Hello, Pat. Hello, Mr. Lumpkin, Nicole Wilson, Bite Me TJ, Josephus. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining me live. I know there's other stuff going on, but love the thumbnail. Great movie. I haven't seen the movie in years. I remember when I first saw it, I was kind of stunned by it. Especially Michael Douglas's performance in it. Yeah, it's a dark movie. I haven't seen it in years. I kind of want to watch it again to see how it, if it still kind of holds up for me. Let's see here. All right, I'm going to get this one started. Let's shrink my presence down here a little bit and get this one going. As usual, let me know if I'm not coming through or if the video's obviously not making any sounds or if it's quiet or just non-existent. But here we go.
I hate you, Darth.
Starting out with a bang.
I don't think you're a nice guy.
Well, why is it that people like you, I never hear you complain about how badly people treat me?
People don't. You literally insult people all the time.
I insult people who I feel deserve it.
Right, but that's not nice. Like a nicer person, knowing that maybe this person deserves to be insulted, wouldn't do it. Or they might operate under a life philosophy that no matter what this person's getting wrong, they, just because somebody's wrong about something, that doesn't mean they deserve to be insulted, which in Darth Dawkins' case, when someone's incorrect and disagreeing with him, 9 times out of 10, it's not a disagreement. They're lying to Darth, and therefore he's justified in insulting them. In fact, it might be a bad thing if he withheld insults from them. It's what Jesus would do.
But you know what's interesting? You have complete amnesia for how people treat me badly, how people lie all the time. Do you think?
Does she? Now, I've seen I think half of this. I haven't seen the second half of it. But at one point he asks her age. So I'm kind of interested, he says that she has amnesia about the way he's been treated. It's almost like he's assuming that she's been following his conversations for a while. So she should know that other people just pile on him and rhetorically, what's the word he used? They drop their pants and either urinate or defecate on him. But if this is kind of her first time meeting him, this is kind of weird.
I think it's conscionable when people just outright lie to my face repeatedly. How come you don't mention that? You have amnesia for that.
It's not a lie if you don't know.
Oh, Randall. Okay, so Randall, I've heard this lady speak with Darth Dawkins before. She joined his private Discord to ask him, why do you care, that time when he was ranting about me for approximately 90 minutes. Okay, all right. So they do have a little bit of a history. Okay. Because at some point in this, I think he asked her age, and it just seems like that's one of those questions he asks everybody the first time he talks with them. Or maybe he's just forgetting now, and now people he's spoken with, a couple times before, goes right back to his classics. Wait, how old are you again? Oh, yeah, you're too young to talk to me. You must be this old to ride this ride. Hey Maya, how you doing? Good to see you. Because Darth knows that everyone knows God exists. Uh-oh. Spooky says, hey, I was just listening to an old Jefferson Spatchcock video. How bad was it, Spooky? You can be honest. Just be brutally honest. Is this Darth's daughter? I don't think Darth's daughter would bother reaching out to him. It'd be funny if it were, you know.
Okay. Yeah. Well, being that I'm probably more than 3 times your age, I think have a slight better advantage to detect when people are lying to me.
And so you don't ever lie?
That's kind of a weird response from her. I would have asked, what's the connection between age and knowing people are lying? I know plenty of, I mean, if that were the case, why do so many old people fall for so many scams and schemes? Like, this doesn't really jive with reality or what we see. Now, if it's, if there's something out there that shows that, the older, if you get older, you might be less inclined to fall for certain kinds of trickery, whether it's verbal or something like that or visual. But in my own experience, I don't think that's the case. I don't know that that's been the case for, and it depends on the kind of trickery that we're seeing here. And let's say that even if that can't be established, the idea that with age comes wisdom is just, that's not a scientific fact. Plenty of people just grow older and get weirder.
That's not the issue. All human beings lie from time to time. The issue is that people purposely and overtly lie in these conversations simply to gain an advantage in a debate, which is disgusting.
But they're not in a debate; they're in a discussion. I really don't think Darth understands what he thinks he's in an arena, and it's like you're in a salon. Like I mean, the reason it seems like it's an arena is because you're the one like ripping your shirt and screaming and yelling at people like you're going to engage in combat. But these are discussions. They're not formal debates. These are not fights.
They're wasting my time. Let me just ask, shall I call you Thomas?
Yeah, that's what I identify as.
Okay. What do you think about people who are cruel to animals?
This is I mean, so if anybody already knows, yeah, this is a trap. Pat, I think I'm going to find a time to do a second round with DD. I have several questions I want to ask him regarding the origin, conversion of his Christianity. Was it cultural or revelatory? I think he's been asked the question before. I don't want to answer it for him because that would be boring. But if I had to guess, and maybe Pat will be willing to make this interesting, we put some money on this. It's a little bit of both. I don't know how much weight he'd give to the cultural part because he's admitted that he was raised in a Catholic family, but I don't think he claims that he wasn't saved. I think until he was in his teens, and I think that was when he became a Protestant or evangelical, born again, whatever. And so I think he considers it. I think he always considers it revelatory. So yeah, however you would follow up with that, I think that that conversation could get kind of interesting. Darth's disconnected from reality, so it tracks.
I think every meat eater is cruel to animals. So, I mean, what do you mean by cruel to animals?
Well, people who decide just to be cruel to animals, to torture them and things like that.
I mean, but that's allowed. Like meat, that's like the whole meat market, though. They're all cruel to animals.
I'm asking you what you.
I'm just gonna say I kind of disagree with that. Well, factory farming has lots of problems. I mean, I think she might be one of the vegans who's like any meat eating is cruel. And you might be able to make that argument if you kind of, depending on the definition of cruelty that you use. It's not necessarily mean spirited though. Now, in the case of some factory farm operations and factory ranching, It is mean spirited. I mean, the way some of the methods that they have for how they treat those animals is disturbing. Um, but that's not necessarily consistent. But what's interesting about this is that, so she's going with this kind of thing. That's fine. That's going to be her stance. For anybody who's seen Darth take this angle before, I think we can all guess where this is going.
You think of that?
Yeah, I think it's awful. I think everyone should be
Mhm.
vegan. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you think it's okay to kill unborn babies?
That's completely different, but okay.
No, no. Okay. Do you see how psychotic you are right now? That was
With
psychotic what you just said. You want to think that we shouldn't even eat meat, yet you think it's okay to rip the arms and legs and heads off of unborn babies, don't you?
Really, that's where you got that from. Um, Randolph Darth Dawkins is in a salon doing what? Getting his nails done? That's really isn't the imagery that the internet needs, is it? By salon, I mean like the old school kind of Age of Enlightenment salons, like the Parisian salons and cafe, the kind of cafe society thing where you'd sit around and debate literature and prose and philosophy and things like that. Not salonas although, maybe, I mean, maybe the difference between our current world and a better world is just Darth getting a refreshing pedicure. So whatever salon he needs to get his butt into. I'm just saying, whatever it is he does think he's doing, what he is definitely not in the Colosseum, fighting for the glory of Rome or whatever his equivalent would be. I don't know what his fantasy is. Don't want to know. Pat's got a death wish, that or he's become tired of his sanity. Yeah, I don't. Mental health is a fragile thing, and engaging with Darth Dawkins crap, especially one-on-one, that's a sure way to shatter one's mind.
You want to sit there and you want to go, Darth Dawkins, you're not very Christian.
Okay, that's a creepy voice. Darth should never do that voice. He should just save that for his OnlyFans channel. I'm sure there's paying customers out there that are willing to listen to that. Consider the imagery here that he's got going on. So he's asked about this kind of thing with cruelty. With that, like, are you? And I've heard him do this before. Are you okay with people like? Would you be okay with me kicking a puppy? And I'm like, no. I think that's that's mean. Don't need to do that. That's just mean and wanton behavior. Why would you do that? Oh, but you believe that I can abort a child, right? And that is, according to Darth, it's okay to tear the limbs off a baby. Really? Because that's not actually how abortion works. What I find interesting is when these guys try to paint with this kind of imagery, this exaggerated imagery. There's a common thing that happens when you get into a discussion with these guys about, and it doesn't matter whether or not you believe that you support a right to abortion secularly or philosophically or medically or anything. You're just trying to you're just engaging in the discussion. You may be trying to deal with the applied ethics of it. And you'll be like, well, what do we do about the circumstances where we're talking about somebody who, where the fetus isn't viable anymore due to some kind of health abnormality? And one of the constant complaints from them is like, oh, well, that's just you're trying to, how was it put by one person? That's the exception, and you're trying to make that the rule. That's the vast minority of these kinds of cases. Well, okay, well, if that's true, then that applies to these kinds of examples as well. The vast majority, like a D&E kind of procedure, is going to involve oftentimes the removal of a fetus. Unfortunately, oftentimes it's already dead or dying. And the reason that it is being, dissected internally is to allow easy removal of it and to make sure that there are no complications. It's not pretty. It's ugly. I would argue it's not as ugly as the fact that normally if a child has made it to that point, the mother wanted to have the child. She was planning to have this child, and health circumstances didn't allow it. So it's a minority case. But these guys will use the language of a procedure that is used in those minority cases, the same ones they claim that the pro-abortion, the pro-rights type people use to say, okay, well, elective abortion needs to be done for all people because of these exceptional cases. But he's doing that now. He's using this exact same technique, just in reverse. Oh, well, don't you know that abortion is the ripping of arms and of limbs from an unborn baby? The vast majority of abortions are done in the first and second trimester. Most of them are in the first trimester before 10 weeks. And there are no limbs to rip. So Darth is just engaging in hyperbolic language, as these guys like to call it.
Okay. Yet you want it to be legal to have unborn babies have their arms and legs and heads ripped off. When babies are developing in the womb, when a woman goes in for abortion, do they get their arms and legs and heads ripped off?
No, but at the end of the day,
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 20.
You're 20 years old, and you're not aware of what happens in abortion procedures?
I'm aware of what happens, but I don't see the problem. Like,
Oh, okay. So now you're lying. See, now you're being a scumbag like the other scumbags who lie to me. Are you not fully aware? Are you not aware that when they go in for abortions, okay, which are generally suction abortions, that they get the arms and legs and their head ripped off? And then after the abortion, what they have to do is the staff workers have to go through the body parts and make sure that they're all there.
Yeah, because that's a D&E. And again, these are the ones that would come up in political circles when right wingers decided that these were the so-called late term abortions that women could just run out and get, and in most cases they couldn't. And these are the ones that when they've attempted to legislate against, they would cause real problems. Like there was a woman from California. I think she was from California and she had to fly to Colorado or vice versa. I can't remember which direction this went. But the reason that she had to do this was because it was a planned pregnancy. They wanted the child. They wanted it more than anything. Child had a rare neurological defect and it was essentially having seizures within the womb. And all of her doctors said, you can try to carry this child to term, but what's going to happen is that it's going to continue to experience these seizures. The stress of being born is going to accelerate the severity and the frequency of the seizures. And then the child will likely just seize and break its own back, or its heart will stop or whatever. So it gets to live a few moments outside the womb in agonizing pain. If it's even capable of experiencing pain anymore because it's had so many seizures on the way out. Grisly fate for any living thing. And she was heartbroken about it. And it was terrifying too, because for her, because she described it as like she could feel the baby kicking and it was kicking a lot, like machine gun kicking. She's like, oh, I got a really active baby. He's super active. I think he's going to be an athlete. And like, no, he was having seizures. And then she then had to deal with a state that was loaded up with bureaucrats that had passed a law that wouldn't allow her medical professionals to deal with this particular case. So she had to fly to another state to get this done. It was delayed. And she ended up giving testimony, and I can't remember when I saw this. It was on C-SPAN or something like that. So this stuff is always, and these kinds of laws are informed by the kind of like over melodramatic rhetoric from guys like Darth Dawkins, like, oh, well, don't you know that this is what a D&E is not a pleasant procedure, but it's also not the kind of thing that women are allowed to do electively. Those have to be done. They're normally done under special medical circumstances, and often they're done so late in the pregnancy they odds are they were a wanted pregnancy, a planned pregnancy, wanted and or planned. So Darth's just being a dick about this.
Lest if anything is remaining, it could cause an infection or kill the woman.
That's
but
true.
You are aware that in abortion they're killing a developing baby, right?
yeah.
Oh, okay. So
But oftentimes in a D&E, you're talking about an expired fetus. And if it's a case where if the baby is still alive biologically, still respirating. Oftentimes it could be in those, I know in those cases where it's a baby born without a brain, or half a brain, or it's just a nervous system. They terminate it before they begin the dissection process and then remove the pieces. Again, these are grisly procedures, but this again is Darth attempting to argue. He's arguing the imagery of a procedure that is that was supposed to be, for pro-choice types, the exception rather than the rule. We're not supposed to be arguing in the cases of the women who have a baby that's born with a rare defect, or the baby that's going to die, or the birth where the baby has an abnormality, or they're in a situation where they either terminate the pregnancy and terminate the baby, or it will kill the mom. Or those, and in those situations, oftentimes it's, the baby's not going to survive the childbirth, and the mom's not going to survive too. So yeah, we're not supposed to argue for those ones in order to make sure that medical professionals have the ability to employ these so-called abortion techniques in order to save the lives of mothers primarily, right? That's usually what those are for, and in some cases pregnancies, but mostly mothers. Make sure that their lives are protected, and that the best medical outcome can happen for them, since they're the ones carrying the child. We're not supposed to argue for those ones, but he can. This classic double standard. Oh, you know what these are? These are all like this. The vast majority of the first term ones are just medication. You can just take a medication, and then it's essentially a medically induced miscarriage. The procedures where they're done, if they're removed, there's a Guardian actually did one with a group where they showed images of the aborted tissue and how large it is, the amount of tissue that's being removed from a woman's body. And I mean, it's 5 weeks, it's tiny, and then by the time you get up to 9 to 10 weeks, it's a larger mass, but it's maybe 6 times the size of that. But you can put all of those different developmental stages on one. They easily fit on one petri dish with room to spare, as it's just little protein clouds. And it's important, I think, for people to see that, because it contradicts this kind of imagery. If you go and look that up, it's very educational, because I wasn't aware of it. You don't often see that kind of tissue outside a woman's body and at natural scale with the naked eye, to see just how little tissue is there, and yet it's the beginning of life. And there's two problems with that imagery. One, the helpful thing about seeing those images is that it kind of blows a hole in this melodramatic narrative that Darth is trying to spin up here. And then, unfortunately, on the other side of that, it allows people, I think, to get a little too glib about the nature of the condition of the baby at these kinds of stages, when really pregnancy is, it's contextual. Pregnancy depends a lot on the mother. So that tiny little blob of white protein that's about the diameter of an eraser head, if a woman miscarries that and she really wanted that baby, that's a significant loss. It doesn't matter what stage it's at. But at the same time, this imagery that Darth is trying to evoke is not helpful. Anyway, I'm getting into too much of the abortion stuff. But Darth, I've noticed this quite frequently. If Darth gets into this kind of conversation with somebody, this is not the first time he's done this, and somebody's like, "I don't think that you're nice." His first thing was, "Well, you're employing a double standard because you're not calling the other people that abuse me not nice too. And you should," right? And she doesn't need to do that. That just doesn't follow, right? He's just being manipulative at that point. And she could just say, "Yeah, I don't think those people are being nice to you. But right now, a lot of those people aren't here. I'm calling you out for your behavior. You can save, I'll save you time and not deal with them right now. You don't need to be around for that. You don't need to worry about what I think about them, and when I get to them, I'll criticize them later and maybe confront them later. Right now I'm talking to you. So focus up." Right. And then after that, he then has to get her he wants to get her wrapped into this conversation to paint her as a moral monster. Why? Let's say that she's inconsistent about this. She is a moral monster when it comes to the issue of abortion, or even the issue of animal cruelty, which was the example that he started with. She doesn't have the right to complain about his behavior. Sounds like an ad hominem you're building there, Darth Dawkins.
You don't want us to eat chicken. You don't want us to eat fish because you're vegan, but it's okay to kill unborn babies. You see what a flaming hypocrite you are? You can, Darth, you're so unkind. You're not a very good representative of Christianity, but you have
There's that voice again. That voice again.
blood dripping from your hands because you probably voted in the last election you could vote in for the baby killers, the people in the political party. You support
the baby killers? I don't remember that being in the platform. I would like Darth Dawkins to find out. Well, I'm sure he'd just underline anytime they use right to choose, women's rights, reproductive rights. He would just like strike through, replace with baby mutilation. Cool, Darth. Cool.
baby killing, don't you?
What difference does it make if she does? I mean, seriously, what difference would it make? I mean, he's engaging in a genetic fallacy at this point because she's wrong about A, B, and C. Let's just give Darth everything that he wants. She's inconsistent about animal rights. She's inconsistent about this abortion issue. She's clearly a hypocrite. Okay. What about those aspects? How does it follow from establishing that she was wrong about you being a jerk? He's not dealing with what she's talking about. He's not dealing with he's just changed it to being about her. You can't judge me because you're a hypocrite. You can't say anything to me because I'm going to point out how stupid you are or how inconsistent you are. I'll make this all up as I go, and then once I've got you cornered off there, I don't have to listen to anything that you say. This is just narcissistic bullshit. Plus, he even started out with that whole thing like he immediately started climbing up on his cross, right? Like, weren't you around here when I was being battered and bruised by all these horrible persecutors? Which ones? Like, I mean, anybody that's seen a Darth Dawkins room knows that he talks 95% of the time. So the vast majority of the abuse is being hurled at him, with the exception of people who get in a quick dig before he bans them and boots them, or troll them real quick with a dirty joke or something.
I don't think it's ideal, but I mean, if it comes down to
You
it,
support baby killing, don't you?
This is just horrible rhetoric. Like, again, at this point, I mean, she's not going to do this. I've been like, so what if I do? Yes, I do. I'm an anti-natalist in the weirdest way. I think people should actively go out and kill the young because we've got a population problem. Okay, now can we get back to the topic of you being a dick? Because Thomas could be a baby killer, but polite about it.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and you support you
Okay, she's starting to lean into it. All right.
support baby killing, and you have the balls to say to me, "Oh, Darth, you insult people." You did, yeah. I may insult people when I think they deserve it, but I don't support the ripping of the arms and legs and heads off of unborn babies, and you do.
Yes, he would. Yeah, you would. If he's read the Old Testament, then he's supported the brutal slaughter of babies, and he stated that he doesn't care.
You're disgusting. You make me want to throw up.
If she's disgusting, he should really take an issue with a god named Yahweh.
So
you are a monumental hypocrite. You want to talk about kindness? Are you being kind to unborn babies when you support them getting their arms and legs ripped off? Are you being kind to them when you support that?
How you ate?
Are you being kind when you support them being killed?
I think this is fascinating because now this has gotten even more performative because now he's getting outraged about like the abortion issue. This started out with her saying that she said he's not nice, and she said she hates him. But he's virtue signaling with this bullshit. This has nothing to do with what she originally started talking about. He behaves poorly and he treats people poorly. And instead of dealing with that, the only thing he can do is work up a bunch of phony outrage. And I really do think a lot of this is phony outrage, because I don't think that a 61-year-old, by his definition, cisgender white man, that's what he's described himself. I don't think he's used cisgender, but he's a straight old white dude, gives a shit about women's pregnancies and their kids. He definitely doesn't care about them after they're born, and he doesn't care about women at all, except maybe the ones that, the ones that he watches in his favorite kinds of porn. He just doesn't strike me as being that sympathetic or empathetic a human being. So this is sad theater.
I don't think you're kind if you're eating beef.
Are you being kind when
No,
you
and I never
support the
claimed to be.
legal killing of unborn babies?
I've never
Then
claimed
don't
to
give
be.
me.
There is no legal killing of. First of all, I kind of agree with. I think it was Gray has said it earlier. An unborn baby kind of sounds like it's a little bit like a married bachelor. In a way, it kind of is, right? Like an infant is actually born. But beyond that, I mean, there's plenty of people refer to it as their baby, and there's plenty of women that want a baby if they miscarry at like 5-6 weeks, when it is just for the most part being reductive, a blob of cells. They lost their baby. They lost that potential life, and that's heartbreaking for them. So I don't want to reduce it or be reductive about it. But this shit that he's doing, like Darth, I mean, he really needs to. He needs to stop virtue signaling here. This is performance piece for his friends. Oh, Darth really cares. This is him caring about the cause of being anti-abortion for the sake of conservative Christians. This is about controlling people and claiming some kind of moral high ground and then enforcing it on other people. He doesn't give a shit. Because if he did care, if he really wanted to do something about it, every time there was an issue where a woman was like, "Oh my God, I'm terrified. I can't deal with this child. I'm not going to be able to raise it," he would be right there. You know what? We need more social welfare. We need more social safety nets to make sure that these women, when they do get pregnant, that they can raise these kids. That's what Jesus would want, right? I'm sure Darth is one of those guys. Like, well, you know what they should do? They need to go back to their families, or they need to get married. Like that's a viable option for everybody.
Me this bullshit about being kind. You lying piece of garbage.
Well, you're a Christian.
Well, now he's really not being nice.
Yeah. What a lying piece of shit you are.
Wow, a lying piece of shit now. So she's a lying piece of shit, and this had fuck all to do with you being a dick. In fact, you used it as an example to get yourself so worked up at her that you proved her point for her. Way to go, Darth.
Oh, Darth. I think you're just not a good Christian example. You're just not kind. You little bloodthirsty, little disgusting pig.
Wolves
You
in
support the
sheep's
killing
clothing.
of. Yeah.
Fucking parakeet. Another one. The fucking flying monkey appears right on his shoulder. Wolves in sheep's clothing. These masters of four-dimensional chess here have completely forgotten that her original criticism was not addressed, but it was illustrated.
You're a wolf in sheep's clothing. You sit there and go, "Oh, I'm a vegan. I don't think we should be eating any meat and all." But
Exactly, Jack Burton. You think I'm not nice? Fuck you. That's pretty much what he did.
you know what? I support the legalized killing of unborn babies.
I really wish he wouldn't use his OnlyFans voice. Stop it. If I'd known there was this much of it in the video, I don't think I would have covered it.
Oh, that's different if we're killing babies. But if somebody wants to have a Chick-fil-A sandwich, oh, you should. I'm a vegan. You should be kind to animals, but you don't want to be kind to unborn babies. You lying sack of crap.
Okay, so being kind to animals, meaning you're going to acknowledge that animals aren't always kind to each other, or understanding that some animals have to be culled. Right? Like they never even got into the nuance of this entire thing. This is just really, really fucked up.
I'm not fooled by your little girly sounding voice. You are as
Fooled by her girly sounding voice. Does he think that she was putting on her voice? I think her voice turned him on. ugh, just saying that out loud made me, oh, I'm going to have to go punch myself in the head a couple times. Sorry, folks.
Evil as they come on Discord. When you support and you do so, with this little calmness, right? This little girly sound. And when you support the killing of unborn babies, you're as bad as the Nazis. You're disgusting. You have the nerve to talk to me about kindness? You're a pig. How do you go? How do you go from I want to be kind to animals?
Ugh, just keeps doing it. I think I pulled it back a little bit. Pat writes, I wonder if Dee Dee knows the historical origin, both legal and historical, of the Christian prohibitions against abortion. I'm pretty sure he'd never want to discuss that. No, he probably wouldn't. I think it'd be interesting to bring up to him. And I think somebody tried to with Tone Loc, a guy I have not seen or heard from in a very long time. I wonder if he's still on Clubhouse. I think somebody tried to bring that up to him. Like, evangelicals didn't actually care about the abortion issue. In fact, they would kind of, I mean, they wouldn't totally mock it, but they would dismiss it as being, quote, that Catholic issue. They just didn't give a damn. But they managed to get good and whipped up into a good foaming fervor over it because of guys like, I think Falwell was a big one. Because they were kind of looking for something that they could kind of get around. They needed to be able to express some outrage about segregation, about the desegregation of schools in the Civil Rights Bill, without seeming overtly racist. And so the one thing that they could kind of code the language into was a lot of that stuff. And so the fixation on the plague of abortion was kind of born, and the evangelicals took off with it. But yeah, before it was like a political stunt and sort of blatant manipulation by right-wing political types, evangelicals couldn't care less.
But then it's okay to kill unborn babies. I mean, what a sick little witch she was. Oh, Darth.
Jesus, he's still doing it. Still, again, if Darth Dawkins watches this, you completely fucked that up, and your total inability to engage in critical thinking and stay on the point and not rabbit trail into oblivion. I mean, it was all on display, old timer. I mean, you drove that. I can't think of a metaphor for what you did. It was a little too destructive. I mean, it was like, hey, I mean, it started out pretty direct from Thomas. Like, I hate you. You're not nice. And ends with, she's basically a Nazi and she kills babies, and the killed baby's blood is dripping from her hands every time she votes for the baby killing, blood soaked Democrats who kill babies, right? I think that's hyperventilating enough over it.
You're not very kind.
Oh.
You'll notice how I reacted to her with her criticism, but then when the issue came up that, I caught her in the most vile and grotesque hypocrisy imaginable.
Hypocrisy.
Oh, I'm a vegan. I don't think we should kill animals to eat their meat, but it's okay to rip the arms and legs and heads off of little babies in the womb. What a disgusting female,
Did you catch that, Tom Rabbit? Hope you upload that to YouTube.
I mean, that person would be disgusting if Darth could demonstrate the existence of that person beyond the one that he just made up on the spot and projected onto the woman that he was talking to. And then to make sure that there's no possible way that the horrible projection that he's placed on her could ever be manipulated or anything, he makes sure that she's muted and then kicked. So she can't, and then continues to engage in this kind of cope because he got himself so worked up, fapping out a fantasy in front of people that he had to talk himself down. Like, oh, what a disgusting, I mean, I think he protests a little too much. I think he's basically announcing his kink. And so, yeah, I feel bad for Thomas for having to be there for that whole thing. Holy shit. What a moron. What an old, disgusting, abusive pervert moron. The thing I thought was interesting about this, and I thought we'd get a little bit more of this, but you see this either way. For anybody that's ever seen The Sopranos, he doesn't fit this, and actually neither did the character I was going to mention. But Tony Soprano's mom in that is she's pretty much a narcissist. I mean, almost blatant narcissist. But a lot of people are covert narcissists in the fact they engage in that kind of martyrdom thing, where they've got to exaggerate their efforts and their suffering in order to try to trick people into sympathy or gain admiration from people. And he sort of started in that vein, you know. But then but I mean, very, very basically, the idea that like, well, what about me? Don't you see what I do? I'm on here every day. Look at the slings and arrows cast my way. Like all that stuff is kind of embedded into that. But then he immediately turned it around and remembered, oh, wait a minute. Darth needs to always be punching outward. And so he has to then make it about how terrible a person she is. And then once that's done and that image is made, and then like, I mean, look at how horrible this person is. Obviously, that person can never then make a point or make a sound argument about anything bad that Darth would say. What I think is interesting, it would be an interesting challenge for somebody like Thomas to then come back and make a statement supporting a point Darth made to see if Darth could accept it. I kind of wonder if he has the ability to be that, if he's mentally flexible enough to be that inconsistent, or if it's so I just want you to shut up because I've already painted you into a corner. But he did that because she said something critical of him. She said something bad about him. So obviously he's got to put her in her place. And even though he's committing a massive genetic fallacy, he doesn't care. She's just that bad, so it justifies his genetic fallacy. But I'm wondering if he would suspend that if she came back and was like, you know what, Darth, you said something a day or so ago, and I think you made a good point. Right? If he's consistent with his genetic fallacy, everything that she says, positive or negative, right or wrong, should all be bad because she's a disgusting, blood on her hands, the victims of the babies, the names of the babies going on the ledger against her, in heaven, stacking up against her. She's going to hell for all the babies she's personally ripped apart. Oh wait, no, she just voted for people that personally ripped those babies. No, she personally voted for the politicians that support laws that allow those doctors to rip those babies. Whatever, it doesn't matter. She might as well just be blowing their heads off with her own pistol, and then going after them with a chainsaw. I mean, just the horror movie imagery alone that he's got to use to evoke this kind of thing, all because, again, I'm I'm going on this tangent, all because she said, "I hate you, Darth. You're not nice." But remember, folks, he welcomes criticism, and please feel free to disagree with him. He can disagree with you. We'll just agree to disagree. Uh-oh. Peter, what did you send me? Let's see what I can find here. All right. I'm suddenly nervous, wondering what this could be. That one.
Hey, Darth, is that a promise or a threat, big boy?
Okay, you can fuck.
I would play this, but I don't know how to play this off Discord into this stream. The StreamYard won't let me save it, so. But I can probably download it. No, I can't. Okay, I'm going to have to figure that out later. That's going to make some... But no, I appreciate you sending me that again. Thank you, Peter. I thought I had that saved on another video. Anyway, I'll figure out another way to play it sometime. But yeah, I can't stream that one. There was another one I was going to get into here. Let me see if I've unless everybody wants to go away. If there's anybody else that's like streaming right now, I should probably end this early.
Off.
Okay, let's see if we can do this. Holy shit, it's opening in a QuickTime player. I really don't think this is going to work. Oh, maybe it won't.
Hey, Darth, is that a promise or a threat, big boy?
Okay, you can fuck off. Yeah, another troll.
I don't know if that's actually playing through there or not. I did try to play it, but all it did was I think it just crashed something. Okay. Sorry, Peter. I can't get that to work. Oh, you need to install Real Player first? Oh, wait, is it still not 1998? Well, when I tried pulling that out of Discord, the MacBook pulled it up in QuickTime Player. So, yeah, I did kind of feel like I was back in the early aughts. You've been infected with the dirty Dutch virus. Okay, let's see here. I think the one that I was actually looking for was over on Clubhouse Debates. Sorry for the lapse, but let me see what I can find here. Good Lord, there's a 3.5 hour long one on here? Jesus. Nope. All right. Well, I can't find that one either. Yeah. Nope. I got to say again, sorry, Peter. I know I should be able to download it and save it into my files and then just upload it as a file and play it through StreamYard. But for whatever reason, it's not allowing me to do that. It's just launching it into QuickTime Player, and then any ability to actually download it is just disappearing on it. So I have no idea why, but whatever. No, I think that's about it. I don't know that I've got anything else to actually share out. There were a few other things going on with capturing debates and Clubhouse debates channel, but I don't know. No, most of those are old. I'm trying to figure this out too. I don't know if anyone else has actually noticed this, but there's somebody that I subscribe to called Certainty Exists, JG, who does a lot of captures a lot of stuff from well, it just sort of depends. I don't know if he's picking up like Godless Girl streams or what he's doing, but he's actually picked up some decent content following Darth Dawkins around on Discord. But every time that I try to look up any of the videos, and I've actually gotten links for some, they'll be, you know, recent ones from 3 days before, and I go to his channel and I can't find it. I have absolutely no idea why that happens, but um, it persists. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. This is what happens in trying to use like Discord stuff to download things onto a MacBook that I still don't really understand because this is my first MacBook. Although to be fair, I'm no good with Discord. So anytime I've tried to like pull files off of it, even with Windows, they always end up getting ripped apart. So. Like this. Aaron Ra thinks the same now. He just did a video about the origin of snakes and didn't ask the paleontologist when talking snakes went extinct. So I asked him after the show. Yeah, I'd kind of like to get the Latin name for that particular breed of snake. All right, folks. Well, yeah, sorry I couldn't get that thing up and running. That is a funny clip. But yeah, if anybody's got anything that they'd recommend that I cover, I'm going to be back on Thursday. I hope I've got that scheduled right. Thursday at 5:30. So right after work for me. I'm going to be having a quick, well, relatively quick. I think it's going to be about an hour. Show with Aaron Ra. I'm going to have him on for an interview and kind of a Q&A. I'm going to be asking him some questions about some frequent young Earth creationist claims that get made by guys like Otangelo Grasso, Praise I Am, Darth Dawkins, Standing for Truth, ones that I haven't always paid attention to, and unfortunately for Aaron, I could get really boring because I could be going over some points that he's probably talked about to death, but it can be fun. Originally, I was hoping that I'd be able to kind of review a Darth Dawkins video, but I don't think that I'm going to be doing that because Darth spends so much time rambling about the meta that it's really hard to actually focus on the substance of the question he's attempting to get out, and that he just gets distracted and starts berating the person or rabbit trailing into a personal attack. So it's not worth Aaron Ra's time to try to do that. I don't think he wants to be around for like 2 or 3 hours while we try to dissect a video. I have that kind of time, and I have that kind of sick desire to do that with Darth's content. But Aaron Ra, he's a smarter man than I. He doesn't want to do that. So, and I'm not going to force him to. So that will be Thursday evening, and that should probably be it for me for the weekend, unless I get streamed done on the weekend. But I hope I can see some of you there. Hopefully it'll be a good show. I hope I don't screw it up too badly. And other than that, I think I'm pretty much just about done. Darth only cares about the meta. That's what Precept is about. Yeah, more and more, it does seem to be that way. Yeah. There actually was, there have been a couple good videos that I wanted to cover. There's an old one between Darth and a guy named Yuri. I think it's 2 months old, from Clubhouse Debates. It's a longer one. He gets into kind of I think it's called Bro Science with Darth Dawkins or something like that. And I kind of want to talk about that one because he runs off in some really weird territory on that one. And I think he's starting to kind of revisit it with some of the more recent discussions he's had. Other than that, if anybody else knows other decent sources to find his stuff, let me know. I think JG lately has been recording them, and I think Supreme Leader Streams has been back kind of recording his stuff. So if anybody finds anything good clips, don't be afraid to send them on my way. I'll do my best to review them. But other than that, that should probably do it. I probably should have read that. Even most of Darth's minions in the comment section just focus on the meta commentary now. Light in the tunnel et al. Yeah, that light in the tunnel guy, I'm not exactly sure who that is. If I find out that's J Robin, I'm going to be super upset. Somebody let me know if they find out who Light in the Tunnel really is. But other than that, I will let everybody go. I hope you guys all have a great night. I will catch you on the next one, and that should probably do it for now. Let's see. Let's play this and get out of here. Take it easy, folks. Thanks again. Bye.